Now we're live.
Now we're live.
Jeff, how's it going?
Good. You want me to introduce you?
Yeah, we'll hang out for a second.
You're like the most chill guy in the world. That's how they are in Boise.
Boise, that's right.
Boise. Hey guys, Jeff here. I am excited to introduce you to my friend, Nathan Barry. Nathan's one of the smartest marketers that I know. We met in the San Francisco airport, I think.
Did.
Yes, coming and going. And Nathan's done a lot of interesting things. We kind of started out in the same space as writers, kind of sharing our stuff on blogs, and he built an email list very quickly and realized what he really loves doing is building things. And he is the founder of ConvertKit, one of, in my estimation, one of the fastest growing new email marketing platforms out there. I love the simplicity of it. It's simpler than MailChimp, and it has the what do you say, the robustness of something like Infusionsoft without being confusing. So this is a time where we get to learn from Nathan everything that he knows about email marketing. And I recently did a survey with a lot of you, dear readers, and we had a ton of people who had less than 100 email subscribers. And a lot of people, 60%, didn't even have an email list at all. They hadn't even started using email marketing. So if you follow my stuff, you know that I'm a big fan of getting your stuff out there to your audience through an email list, asking for people's email addresses so that you can stay in touch with them over time through an email service like ConvertKit. And if that's new to you, or if you have an email list and you want to grow it to 1,000 subscribers or get another 1,000 subscribers, I think that everything changes. Whether you want to be an author, start an online business, just get your ideas out there in the world. Everything changes once you get to those 1,000 readers, those 1,000 true fans. So Nathan's going to share with you how to do that. I'm super excited. I'll be here as well, and I will turn it over to Nathan. So thanks, dude.
Sweet. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Yeah, man.
I was actually thinking back to when we met. I think you were coming back from teaching a creative live course on list building and email marketing.
That's true. Yeah, I made all that stuff up.
Yeah, exactly. But we crossed paths in the San Francisco airport.
Yes.
And we probably sat and talked in that coffee shop for 2-3 hours.
That's true. Yeah,
it was a good time. All right, so as Jeff said, my name's Nathan. I'm going to teach you some cool stuff today. I'm going to switch over to some screen sharing so that you guys can see my screen. I was going to say something clever and I couldn't think of anything. So
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. All right. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about how to get your first 100 email subscribers, and then how to get 1,000 subscribers in 7 days. And then also, we're going to talk about 6 marketing automation rules that you should set up today. So that's kind of the overview. First, before we jump into a few things, I would love to know how many email subscribers everyone who's on here with us now has right now. So if you could drop in the chat and just say, I've got 12 subscribers, 2,000, 300, 0, whatever. I just want to know what level you're at, and then we'll be able to tailor the content for exactly who's here with us live. And so, cool. A few people are dropping in already with how many they have. I want to introduce myself a little more really quickly. My name is Nathan. I write courses and build software. So my background is in software design. I started teaching people how to design software, and then got asked tons of questions about marketing and publishing and all that. But I wrote these 3 books, and over the course of about 2 years, I did $500,000 in sales on those 2 books. And over that time, I built a decent-sized email list. In the 2 years, it was 24,000 subscribers. Now it's a little more. But what surprised me most during all this time is how much of that revenue came from an email list. I thought that Twitter and Facebook and these other social channels being the hot new thing were going to drive most of the revenue. And that just didn't happen. And so what it was instead was that email was driving everything. And so I thought, all right, it's time to double down on this email thing, focus on all these best practices, and go from there. And so that ultimately led me to creating ConvertKit. I'll tell you a little bit more about it later. But basically, ConvertKit's an email marketing tool for professional bloggers and authors. And, we've been very successful over the last year or so. And just the idea behind ConvertKit is best practices by default. So we've basically built in everything that you need to grow your email list very quickly right into ConvertKit. We'll talk about that more in a second. But first, let's talk about how to get your first 100 email subscribers. So first of all, a bunch of people have quite a few subscribers. Let's see. So Paul's got 285, Tom, 100-ish. Tracy's got 14. Maria's got 1,100. Nice. This is good. Tara, it's okay to be just starting out. That's good. Glad everyone could make it. Basically, this first section is going to be on how to get your first 100 subscribers. And then we'll go from there. So this is something that I call the 10-person rule. And this is actually a useful exercise no matter where your blog is at now. But it'll help you define a few things, show your audience, and get you those first subscribers. So the first thing that I want you to do is to define what it is that you're teaching. So that could be, in my case, how to design iPhone applications, or it could be teaching people how to write, teaching people how to, grow their business. If you're doing a DIY blog or something, you're teaching that kind of thing. And then write down 10 names of people who you know in real life who could benefit from what you're teaching. So in my case, I wrote down my programmer and designer friends who wanted to learn how to design iPhone applications. Maybe they knew how to code in another language or for another platform, but they wanted to get better at design for iPhone apps. So I wrote down 10 names, and then what I did is I emailed them personally. And what I said there was, hey, I'm starting a new site teaching people, and fill in the blank here, but how to design iPhone applications. Is that something you're interested in learning more about? Now, based on the responses from this, all 10 people, because these were personal emails, that I just sent from Gmail, they all said, yeah, totally. I'd love to learn more about that. It was a pretty targeted list, so that went well. And guess what? At this point, I've got 10 email subscribers. So anyone, like Evans or others who are at 0, this is the way that you get started pretty quickly. All right. So after you've got those first 10, what you're going to want to do is ask them another question. All right. Going back really quick, one thing that I should say is that with this first question, this counts as your opt-in. So by emailing them and saying, hey, do you want to sign up, do you want to learn more about this? That counts as them opting in so that you can actually email them in the future. Okay, now that you have those 10, I want you to email them again and ask them 2 more questions. 1, what's your biggest frustration related to this topic, with learning how to design iPhone apps? And then 2, where do you go online right now to learn about this? And what this does is it gives you 2 sets of really important information. So the first one is basically you're going to make 2 lists. The answers to the first question are going to go into your topics list, and the second question is going to go in your communities list. So quite frankly, as people are telling you their frustrations, saying, hey, I'm frustrated with how to learn this code thing. I'm stuck on this program. I can't figure out how to get past writer's block. Those frustrations, they're just telling you what to write. And in the second list, they're telling you where to promote it. So they're going to tell you about, forums and communities and blogs, all the places that they read, everything that they want to know more about on where to promote, your content, basically where they hang out and you can hang out too, because that's where, people like you are online. And that works really well. Effectively, they're doing all of your research for you. So then what you're going to do is on the what to write side of things, just write blog posts, write content that answers each of those frustrations. The great thing here is that it's written to a specific person. And so you're going to build on that. You're basically, if it's useful to one person, then it's going to be useful to a lot more people. So instead of worrying about writing something really broad and generic, you can answer that one person's question, and it'll be personal. It'll have kind of an organic style to it, and you can guarantee that it's going to be useful. And then you know where to promote it because people told you exactly where they hang out. So that's what you do to start. And of course, on each of these blog posts, you're going to want to have an email opt-in form driving them back to your site or driving them to sign up to your email list. And that's at the very basic level. Now, let's talk the direct promotion thing for a second, because a lot of people think that, I have to publish all this content and no one's going to come to it. But really what you want is to reach out to people directly. I said to start with those 10 names of people that you know in real life. Well, you don't have to stop with 10. That's the starting point. But I actually know quite a few people that have built their email list to their first 100 subscribers or more purely through direct outreach, just emailing friends, family, coworkers, anyone they know who might want to be interested in that topic. And they've actually built up email lists of 100 people or more just from that. And then once you start to write content, you email it out to those people and they're going to be more likely to promote it. So that's the starting point. That gives you information on, how to get those first few subscribers, and then what to write to get more, and then how to promote it. So with that, let's jump into the next section, which is how to get 1,000 email subscribers in a week. And this is kind of my favorite topic ever because I like lists that grow really quickly. So I'm going to tell you first about a guest blog post that I wrote on a site called Smashing Magazine. And this was a post that I wrote a couple years ago. And if anyone wants to Google the post and find the link, the title was How to Launch Anything. And it's this 4,000 word, really detailed blog post on product launches, everything that I knew about product launches at the time, all for free, super detailed. Now, usually what people do at the end of a guest post is they say, hey, I'm Nathan, follow me on Twitter. And that just sits in their author bio link. Or they try to go the opposite direction. And they're like, ooh, I have a book or a course to sell. Let me promote it heavily. Let me, put that link out right in the end of the post and say, hey, go buy my course. And then, of course, the editor of the site says, no, we're not doing a sales pitch here, and takes it out. And so you kind of are in this weird place where you can't really pitch. Otherwise, the link will get taken out. But if all you do is link in your bio to your Twitter page, then you're not going to get any value out of that guest post, really. And so what I did in this post for Smashing Magazine was I actually came up with a free email course titled Mastering Product Launches. And in this course, I just said, hey, it's a free course. There's 8 lessons over 30 days. And basically, I don't want your education on product launches to end here. You just read 4,000 words on product launches. You got a ton of great free value. I'm going to follow that up with a bunch more free content on how to launch your product. And we go into a lot more, actionable details rather than the high level overview. And so I wrote it so that the logical conclusion of reading this blog post was to click through to the free email course. So tons of free value up front, and then followed up with tons more free value after they sign up for the email course. And I did this on a really streamlined landing page. So you notice that it's not like a normal page on my site. It's really focused just on the email opt-in. And then what the emails themselves look like, this is actually an early screenshot of ConvertKit. It's just each of the lessons dripped out every few days, giving them tons of value over time. Now, what happened was instead of just getting, a couple dozen new Twitter followers as a result of this guest post, I ended up getting 1,000 email subscribers from the guest post. And granted, Smashing Magazine is a really popular site, but even if you did this on a smaller site and only got, say, 100 new email subscribers, It's really powerful. And so there's something magical here about email courses, different from just saying, hey, sign up for my newsletter. Because in this case, you're giving people something of value right away, and it's going to make it a lot more compelling. But you're also not selling right away. And so that means that you're going to be a lot more likely, the site that you're guest posting on, it's going to be happy to let you do it because you're continuing to give away tons more value. So I actually did this, or helped another friend, his name's Wes Wages, do this. Jeff, I know that you know Wes. He's a really great guy, also kind of based down south like you. But Wes was doing this great blog on video, and he was putting out these video lessons. I think he was putting out a few every couple days or so, just on his blog. But his call to action for his site was just, hey, sign up for my newsletter. And so even though his content was good, he wasn't hardly getting any email subscribers. And so I thought, okay, Wes, we gotta step this up. And I just recently done the Mastering Product Launches email course. And so I thought, all right, let's use a similar template. Let's follow a similar model. And let's do this with Wes's video content. So we made one called Mastering Online Video. And this is what it looked like inside of ConvertKit. It was a few lessons. Actually, at the time that we went live, he only had 3 videos in it, and he was still shooting and editing more videos. But that was okay because he had 5 days from when the first person subscribed till he needed to put out the next content. And so what we did is, with this landing page, Wes now had something to promote. He had a meaningful reason to sign up, for people to sign up to his list. And he had a reason to start asking his friends to share and promote it. Like, if you come out with a new blog, you can't really ask your friends to say it. Like, hey, would you guys promote this? It's a new blog. Like, that's not very compelling, especially because they'll probably think that you're going to, wash out and not finish working on your blog later, or give up on blogging like a lot of people do. So by creating this free course, Wes had something meaningful to promote. And so we started promoting it. This was at the end of 7 days. Wes went from 0 to 949 subscribers. And how he did it was, first, he followed that 10-person rule. So he had gotten his first 10 subscribers and then asked those questions of, what are you struggling with right now? And where do you hang out online right now to learn about creating online video? And they had given him lists of communities like Hacker News and Product Hunt and subreddits. And then it had given him a list of people who could share and promote this. And so he went down the list and he started getting this really great content out there. So the important thing is that it's great content and it's well packaged. And so with that, he started getting followers. Now, he used this cool feature in ConvertKit. This is kind of small, but it's a campaigns feature where he could track exactly where each subscriber came from. And none of them came, or he didn't get a ton from one major source. So he got the most subscribers from a post on Product Hunt. But, when he posted to his Facebook page and his Twitter page, he got 71 subscribers. He posted in a forum and got 117. He asked me to share it on Twitter. That got him 19 subscribers. Some did okay, like a post in a subreddit got him 14. Others, like a post on Hacker News, got him 1 subscriber, But he asked a bunch of friends to share, and he got 10, 15, 5 subscribers from a lot of different sources, as well as a few that were in the 100 to 200 range. And that all added up to almost 1,000 subscribers in a week. So that was amazingly successful for Wes. And after that, that kickstarted, everything that he was doing online, because now he has an audience. Now he has that magical 1,000 subscribers numbers that Jeff was talking about earlier. So I've seen a bunch of people do this now. Another example is a lady named Paula Baraska, who wrote a book on designing iPhone applications. And it was a really great book, but it only sold a handful of copies because she had a small audience. And so I said, Paula, we got to get this out to more people. And so what she did is she took some content from the book. So she didn't even have to write new content. And she put it together into a free 14-day email course, dripped out through ConvertKit. and put together this really simple, great landing page and started promoting it. And she was going to follow Wes's playbook and like promote it everywhere and do all these things. But one of the first places she submitted it was Product Hunt, and that took off. And she got 3,000 email subscribers in 3 days. And at that point, she was like, yeah, I don't need to do the rest of it. Like, I'm all set, you know? So I love the contrast between what Wes has done and like what Paula did, because sometimes one of these sources takes off and you do really well. But if not, you just keep hustling and piece it together subscriber by subscriber. All right. The next one is another friend of mine. His name is Paul Jarvis. And he does he does this great training on how to be a better freelancer. And it's called, his main course is called the Creative Class. And it's about, running a freelancing business and getting clients and all that. But it's a decently expensive course. And so people who have never heard of Paul before aren't going to just buy it on the spot. And so what he did is he took some content out of the course and did 7 days of free training, dripped out in an email course on, how to be a better freelancer. And he promoted this to his existing email list so they got more information about it. And then also, he followed that process and started promoting it around the web. And over the course of about a year, Paul got 10,000 freelancers to go through and take that free course. And then, that obviously had a pitch and a little bit of an upsell to paid courses. So email courses are incredibly powerful. Somebody just mentioned in the chat they love Paul's writing. He has rats. Yes, if you guys know Paul Jarvis at all, he loves his rats. Follow him on Instagram and you'll get to meet his pet rats. Paul's a great guy and just does amazing stuff. And that's another example. Through all of this, the more you weave your content through, or the more you weave your personality through your content, the more people will connect with you. And then someone will say like, oh, I love that person. I love their writing, rather than just like, yeah, they give freelance advice. It works. There's actually a personal message in there and it works well. All right. So that's a tactic. Email courses, they work incredibly well. I know a lot of people that have used it to get 1,000 email subscribers in a week. I'd love to know in the chat before we move on, has anyone else used email courses to build this list? Let's see. Jeff, have you done some stuff with email courses?
I have. I've done, I did this thing. This is kind of an interesting story. I guess you can't really like, can you preface your own stories and say, this is really interesting?
You can.
This is going to blow your mind.
This joke is so good. Yeah, that's not a good idea.
Yeah. So, I started this thing called, I started my blog and I didn't have a product yet. And I wrote this thing on Facebook. I was just so insecure about selling anything. And I think you know how that goes, Nathan. So I built this audience and everybody told me that you could monetize it. But my email list wasn't huge at the time. It was maybe it was like a couple thousand people. And I wrote a post on Facebook saying, hey, if I shared with you everything that I knew about blogging in an email course for free, would you sign up for it? And like 100 people replied to that comment. And this is just on like my regular Facebook profile page. It was just me talking to my friends. And so at the time I was working for a nonprofit and I was studying blogging because we wanted to do a blogging course for all of our staff and volunteers. And we ended up not doing it. And I wrote like half of it. And we ended up not doing it. And so I was like, I love what Jason Fried says in Rework about using your byproduct, like use like the used up stuff that, from your day job or whatever for, building something else. So that's what I did. I sort of validated the idea, asked people if they wanted it. 100 people said yes. So then I wrote this email autoresponder sequence. I did it in MailChimp because ConvertKit didn't exist yet. And, but I wrote this 12-week course, one lesson per week for 12 weeks. And over the course of the next several months, that grew to like 7,000 people.
Wow.
And it initially outgrew my main list. and I got a bunch of new subscribers from it. And it was just this free email course. And I didn't do anything with that for like a year. And I realized I did this about 8 months, I guess, before I launched my first paid product, which was Tribe Writers, this online course. And I took a lot of the material that I had given away for free, and I just repackaged it in videos and, you know, built upon it. But basically, I took something that I'd given away for free, and I started charging money for it, and people paid for it. And so the whole goal of it wasn't to sell something, it was to validate an idea. And then at the end of that, on the 12th lesson, I basically said, hey, would you pay to learn more about this? And if so, what would you pay? And like, how would you want it packaged? And people replied and said, yeah, you know, I'd want something more. No, this was great. But I got enough people saying, yes, I'd pay something like $100 or a couple $100 for like a video course on this. And that's, you know, eventually what I created. Funny story, that was called intentional blogging. And I created Tribe Writers kind of based around it. And then 2 years later, you know, Tribe Writers is a course about becoming a professional writer. 2 years later, I wanted to create just like a basic blogging course for people who just wanted to get better at blogging. We called it Intentional Blog. And I, again, used a lot of that material just about blogging. And I mean, you know, those products are both, you know, responsible for millions of dollars of revenue in the past couple of years.
Yeah. And it all started with an email course.
A free thing. Yeah. Me just sharing something that I was like, I don't know, like, do people know this, right? People, you know, do people care about this? And, you know, look at Nathan's poster, teach everything you know, teach what you know. You're just amazed at the things that you know that seem kind of obvious to you, how they're amazing to other people.
Yeah. And there's something powerful about the email course as a delivery method, because one, it drips out over time, so people aren't going to get overwhelmed and like just download this 100-page PDF and be like, yeah, I'll read this later. But then also, you know, there's not this weird thing of like, hey, download this PDF. And you're like, cool, I'll download. Why do I have to give you my email address to download a PDF?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm pretty sure I know how to download things without an email address.
Whereas with an email course, it's like, oh, of course you need my email address in order to send me emails. Like, yep. I get that.
Yep.
And it trains people to open and read your emails,
yep.
which is kind of a good thing because that's what you want to do. And so you're getting in that habit of collecting email addresses, people reading your emails, and you're doing it from day one in an automated way.
And I think on that sequence, we had like a 70% open rate. It was just it was ridiculous.
The email courses have the highest open rates because people are like, yes, I would like emails in my inbox, please.
Yeah, so because there's actual value, not like pretend value.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, email courses are very, very powerful. And it just, I guess the point I want to stress the most is it gives you something to promote, to keep coming back to say, you know, probably because then on from blog posts, people ask a question about blogging, and in the comments, you're like, oh, well, you know, if you want to learn about that, here's this thing that I made. And you can keep referring back to it, and you can promote it, and you'll get a lot of subscribers really quickly that way. So with that, let's jump back into some screen sharing, and I'm going to talk about the last section of this little workshop on 6 automation rules you should set up today. So now you've got some subscribers, and it's time to do some automation. All right. So 2 things that I want you to notice about these. 1, these automation rules are simple. We're going to get started gradually. And then 2, they build on each other. So I want you to notice that how this isn't super overwhelming to start with, but it builds on each other. So it builds on each other so that you get some pretty advanced results. So the first one I want to talk about is the automated pitch. Now, Jeff just mentioned that he had something like this in his email sequence. It was a really soft pitch at the end of the intentional blogging course. But it was just like, hey, would you pay for something like this? And if so, how much would you pay? That's like a really soft pitch. What I like about it is it gets people in the door kind of easily. They're like, yeah, I'd be interested in that. And so they get like this really soft commitment before, you know, you're asking them to put in their credit card. Usually what people are doing here is at the end of the email sequence, the email course, they're saying, you know, hey, if you enjoyed this, then you can get a lot more value here. You can get more details here. You can roll into into the pitch. I want to walk you through one of mine. Basically, if you go to my book Authority, if you went to the sales page for that and you downloaded the sample chapter, then you would get this email sequence. And it's a series of emails that deliver more value, talk you through it and all of that, and then eventually make the pitch. So let's break it down. If you're trying to make a sale, there's 3 things that you have to have. First, you have to have trust. Like, people aren't going to buy something from someone that they don't trust. Next, you need desire. They have to actually want to make the purchase from you. They have to see how it benefits them, benefits their life somehow. And then finally, you have to make a pitch. Like we talk about, if you want a great blog, you have to give away tons and tons of amazing value for free. That's part of the email course. But if you also want to make a living from your blog, at some point, you have to make a pitch. You have to actually ask people to buy a product or something like that. And sometimes people give away almost too much value for free and forget to make a pitch of some kind. So let's break it down how to do it in an automated way. In this sequence, I've got the first 5 emails all about building trust and desire. So this is just free educational content. Basically, I'm trying to make the case that Nathan knows what he's talking about when it comes to self-publishing and topics related to authority. And then also building up the desire that this is something that you might want for yourself. And then once that's done, maybe I've made some casual references back to authority, but for the most part, it's just educational. And then I actually roll into an email that's a dedicated sales pitch. And so it's talking about the bonus content in there, what you're going to get, why you should buy the whole package, and then actually asking you to buy. Now, if you don't buy in this email, that's totally fine, because I'm going to roll right back into educational content. And then, after that, in the next email or so, there's going to be a sales pitch. Yeah, that email is still educational. It's still useful. It's not pure sales. But I'm actually going to ask you to buy and tell you the reason that you should buy, how it's going to make things better, etc. And I can just kind of alternate back and forth between delivering more value and actually asking you to make a purchase. Now, the great thing about these automated sales is that they're timed to each subscriber. So with these big products and product launches, people tend to do them, maybe once or twice a year or once a quarter. But if somebody signs up right after you do your yearly launch, then are they really going to wait an entire year before you pitch them on anything? So the great thing with these automated email sequences being timed to each subscriber, that whatever it is, 18 days after they subscribe, they're going to get their first pitch email, and it's going to be timed just to them. And so you don't have to worry that, maybe they missed the first 3 or 4 emails building trust and desire because they joined late. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's all timed to them. And it's a great way for making more sales. So the next one is that you need to tag your customers. Now, this is something that ConvertKit does very differently from a lot of the other, basic email tools like Aweber and MailChimp, is that ConvertKit actually has tags. And so inside of ConvertKit, if somebody signs up for your email list and say they opt into 3 different things, they're just counted as one person. They have one subscriber profile, and that all gets added. Hey, they purchased this. They opted into this form. It's all added to a single subscriber. Whereas if you do that in MailChimp or Aweber or some of these other tools that are list-centric, if someone signs up to one list, they're one person. Then they sign up to your other list. So say they're on your interested list, and then they sign up for your, they purchase your course, so they get added to the course purchase list. And then you do another one of these free email courses and they opt into that. Now the same person counts as 3 different people, and you have no idea that the one person has opted into all 3 things. And the worst thing is that you're getting double charged for these people, and that just doesn't make sense. So tagging is really powerful. And then what you want to do is you want to tag them whenever they make a purchase. So in this case, I have it set so that when they purchase a course, that could be on Gumroad or Teachable or any of these other platforms, they're being tagged as being a customer. And, I could tag them for a specific product. So if they purchase my book Authority, they're being tagged as having purchased Authority. Now, with ConvertKit, we've got integrations with tons of providers, Wishlist Member, Shopify, and all of that. So it doesn't really matter who you're doing this through. What matters is that you know who your customers are. And the reason that you want to know who your customers are compared to everybody else is you want to exclude your customers from the pitch. So this is automation rule number 3. So remember that automatic pitch that we had, where we're going back and forth between educational content and a sales pitch. Well, what happens if I buy on that first email? You're telling me, hey, my course is amazing, you should buy it. And I go, okay, cool. And I buy it. And then the next email, it's educational. But the one after that, you're like, hey, buy the course. And you're like, look, man, I already bought it. Why are you still pitching me on it? It's amazing how many people don't have this basic automation set up. But what you want to do, and it's just one click in ConvertKit, is you want to exclude people who have purchased. So they opt into your site, they get some educational content, they get a pitch to buy. Well, after that, you want to exclude them so they don't get future pitch emails. And that's really easy and really powerful. All right, the next one is that you want to trigger actions with a link. And so what I mean here is if someone clicks a link, you want to trigger an automated action, like add them to a tag or add them to a sequence or do one of these other things automatically. So here what I have is I have a trigger that when someone clicks a link through to the sales page for my book authority, I'm going to tag them as being interested in purchasing authority. So now I went from my much larger list now down to a smaller segmented list of people who are actually interested, especially interested in buying that product. You can do other things when triggering actions. Let's say you wanted to host a webinar or a workshop for your list, for your subscribers. You could say, hey, to opt in, all you have to do is click this link and you'll automatically be tagged as being interested. And then you'll get the emails about the webinar details. Or let's say you have an email list of, 500 people, and you come out with this free course like Jeff's intentional blogging course or like Wes's mastering online video course. You come out with that, but it's more content than your people on your email list are used to getting. And so you don't want to just like automatically enroll all of them in there. So what you could do is you could say, hey, I just came out with this free email course. Here it is. I already know your name and email. So you don't have to like go opt in again on the marketing site or on the landing page like most people. Just click this link and you'll automatically be enrolled. And so there's tons of actions like that you can trigger just by clicking a link. And that ends up being really, really powerful. Now, combining some of these, you can run like a downsell or have extra urgency at the end of your launch. So what you would do here is we now know a couple things. We have our total list. And then remember, based on the second automation rule, we know who's purchased. And then based on the fourth automation rule, we know who's clicked certain links. So now at the end of the launch for my book authority, I could send out an email saying, hey, the extra bonuses are expiring and they're expiring in 3 hours. But maybe I've already sent an email that day, and so I don't want to be too pushy. So I could just send it to people who have clicked through to the sales page, so I know they're interested, but exclude the people who have already bought. And because that's such a narrow focus segment, it's going to convert really well. And I don't have to risk annoying, my total list by emailing too often. This is also great if you want to do a downsell, maybe after your launch closes. And so what you could do there is have an option with more payment plans or a light version of the course. And you could send it to people and say, hey, I know you're interested and I know you wanted to buy because you have been clicking through, and you're being tagged as interested. But for some reason you didn't. And so here's a different version that maybe if price was the issue or something else, here's a different version that you could afford. And that works well. Now, the sixth automation rule and the last one is advanced onboarding. And so you can actually ask your subscribers different questions. And this is using the triggering actions with the link. So who here in the chat is familiar with a guy named Pat Flynn? Pat runs a site called smartpassiveincome.com, a podcast, stuff like that. If you've heard of him, just let me know in the chat. one of the things that Pat does as he's teaching people how to set up an online business is he asks this question early in his onboarding sequence. And he says, hey, which of the following best describes your online business activity? Click one. I don't have a business yet. I'm making less than $500 a month, or I'm making more than $500 a month. Cool. A lot of people are saying, Debbie's saying that she's heard of Pat. Yeah, he's got a great site. By segmenting people who click these links, he's now able to know who the beginners are and who the more advanced people are. And with this, he can make sure that he's sending more relevant content. So he's not going to send you an email and say, hey, here's how to set up a WordPress blog. If you're already making over $500 a month from your site, like, you know how to do that. But if you're brand new, you don't have an online business yet, I bet you totally want to know how to set up hosting or some of these other things. So he can, just through a simple survey, which all this is doing is tagging people based on what they click, he can get much more advanced. And then you can also do some of this advanced onboarding where he could have a main onboarding sequence of, welcome emails. And this email could be something about podcasting, since Pat has a lot of training on podcasting as well as his smart podcast player. And if you don't interact or don't click through to this email, you would just keep going down the segment. Maybe you get dropped into the main list at the end. But let's say you're like, oh, you click through the podcasting thing. Then what Pat can do is he can go down this new segment and say, well, since you care about podcasting, maybe you want to see these detailed courses that I have. Maybe you want to buy my smart podcasting player, and you can actually make a sale there. And he can pitch this harder because he's only pitching it to the people who care about podcasting and not to, the 100,000 other people on his list. So that's what you can do with advanced onboarding, and it ends up being really powerful. But one thing that you might notice at this point, and I actually already see people in the chat mentioning this, is that you can't do this with your current email tool. So if you're using Aweber, MailChimp, or GetResponse, or as BH Writes says in the chat, he's using Mad Mimi, you can't do this. So it's really difficult to give out an opt-in incentive. Your subscribers are trapped in different lists. There's no tags. You're being charged for duplicate subscribers. And it's hard to create these email courses like we talked about. And there's no real marketing automation features. And so normally, if you want to take this up a notch, you're going to have to go to a tool like Infusionsoft to get that level of automation. That's what, when I was running a blog, that's what everybody told me, the switch that I had to make. There's a bunch of downsides to Infusionsoft, but one of the biggest ones is that it costs a small fortune. So there's a $2,000 setup fee to get started. You're looking at $250 to $500 a month. And then what most people run into is that it's so confusing to get going that you have to hire a consultant to run it for you. And it's going to get really expensive and complicated. I know a lot of people who use Infusionsoft who can't actually send their own emails anymore. They just purely rely on their consultants to do it for them, which obviously is spendy. And so that's really where ConvertKit comes in. I built ConvertKit out of my own needs as a professional blogger. I wanted to build a tool that was made for people like us from the ground up, had best practices built in by default. And really, actually, this is how a customer described us, but I've liked it and have used it ever since. They just described ConvertKit as the power of Infusionsoft, but easier to use than MailChimp. And I like that. Another great thing about ConvertKit is the pricing side of it. It starts at just $29 a month. So you get these powerful features at a great low price for, $29 a month would be for up to 1,000 subscribers. And, so you get that power that Infusionsoft has, but without having to pay the thousands to have it set up, and then hundreds and hundreds a month just for the most basic options. And actually, there's another blog post that you should check out, those of you who are fans of Pat Flynn. He wrote this great post a little while ago on why he switched from Aweber to Infusionsoft to ConvertKit. And it's super detailed. It goes into tons of explanation, on why he made the switch. So yeah, the other great thing is that even though Pat pays a lot more than $29 a month for ConvertKit because he has a lot more subscribers, you still get all the same advanced functionality, even if you're just starting out on the $29 a month plan. So that's big. And really, ConvertKit was built from the ground up for professional bloggers and authors, people like you and I. And it really shows. So we're not going to have all the complexity and features of Infusionsoft, but we're going to have the stuff that you need to get going. So normally at the end of a webinar, there's a sales pitch, and this is going to actually be a reverse sales pitch where I just give you a bunch of stuff for free. And the first thing that I'm going to give you is your first month of ConvertKit totally for free. And so there's the button below to get your first month of ConvertKit free. You can sign up. After the first month, you'll be on the $29 a month plan. But it's totally free to get started. And it's one thing to give you the tool, but I want to give you a bunch of training to go with it as well. And so a few times over this workshop, I mentioned my book Authority. It's everything that I know about self-publishing bundled into one book. At this point, I've made a decent amount of money selling this book, but I actually totaled it up recently. And the case studies that we have inside of Authority and the people who have learned from it, their revenue actually totals well over $2 million now. And so that made me really happy. This book has had a pretty substantial impact on people's lives. And so if you sign up for ConvertKit, which you get your first month free, you're also going to get a copy of Authority for free. And then finally, I teach this class twice a year called the Product to Profit Masterclass. And we normally sell it for between $200 and $300. And I teach it with two of my friends, Paul Jarvis, who I mentioned earlier, and Jason Zook, both fantastic bloggers and product people. And so I'm going to throw in a copy of this course for free for anyone who signs up for ConvertKit before the end, before the end of this webinar. And so what's in Product to Profit? There's a bunch of modules, but I'll touch on just a couple, how to grow your audience, how to validate the product. That's important stuff. The last two modules are one where I dive into pricing and positioning, which gets into the techniques that I've used to double and triple revenue from product launches just by, using the perfect pricing. And then the last module is one by Jason Zook. And if you've ever considered getting sponsorship for something, Jason is the king of sponsorships. He once got paid over $1 million in sponsorships just to wear different t-shirts. The guy's sold sponsorships of his last name. He's done everything. And so he does a deep dive into how to get sponsorships. So this is incredibly valuable, and it's all free. Like, I really want you to be successful in growing your list, and I want you to get started off on the right foot. And so actually, when you go sign up for ConvertKit, you don't pay anything right now. So you get that first month free, you get your copy of Authority, and you get the Product to Profit Masterclass all for free. So if you click that link down below, this is what you're going to get. Or what's going to happen, you'll see a ConvertKit sign up form. You'll put in your email address and password. This is what you'll use to log into ConvertKit in the future to run your email marketing and all of that. And then when you click next, it's going to ask for your credit card info. So this is for the ongoing ConvertKit subscription, just like you've currently been paying for MailChimp or Aweber or one of these other tools, that you'd be able to cancel that subscription, move everything over to ConvertKit. And once you go through that, it's not going to charge you anything until a month from now. And then by default, you'll get put on the $29 a month plan for 1,000 subscribers. So you can click that blue button down below, and that will get you signed up. And like I said, all of this is free. Your first month is free. And yeah, it's actually kind of a lot for free. And so what I want from you is, if you take us up on this, I actually want a promise from you. So basically, we're giving you all the tools and the training, everything you need to be successful. But you've got to actually put in the work. And so I don't want you to just like download the resources, save them to your computer, and have that be it. I want you to actually schedule some time on your calendar. I recommend 2 1-hour blocks in the next, say over the next week, to actually go through the material and set up ConvertKit. Because what's going to make the difference in you being successful is taking the training and actually applying it and using the tool. So yeah, that's what I want. It's totally free to get all this set up. And yeah, I guess we've got a bunch of time for questions now, but we'll say that the bonus of the Product to Profit Masterclass is going to expire in about 10 minutes once we wrap up this call. So if you're thinking about getting that, jump on it. Ooh,
good job, man.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, and let me just say, I love ConvertKit. I love, Nathan, you're going to be in good hands. What I love about this opportunity is like, if all this stuff actually works, like, and somebody goes from wherever they're at, somebody's at 20 or 300 or 500 or 100 subscribers, and you get to that 1,000 subscriber mark, like, and you get at the end of this 30 days with all this material, applying it, and you start paying for ConvertKit. Now you can actually afford, theoretically,
right,
you can afford to pay the $29 a month, because I know, I don't know if this is true for you, Nathan, but once I got to 1,000 subscribers, it was pretty easy to start monetizing. And really, I mean, it was just like, I got to those, those subscribers, I did the free course. And then before I did the paid course 8 months later, the next month I came up with this ebook, which was a $2.99 ebook. And I made $1,500 off of that in a weekend. Yep. And all I wanted to do was, pay for my email marketing service and my hosting. And I did that in a weekend. And so that's what I love about this. You could literally go through all this stuff for free. By the end of a month, you could actually be, have a business, be, paying some of these bills. And so it's a cool offer. Thanks for doing that. It's really generous of you. And I hope lots of people, take it up on there. There's literally a no lose scenario. You could sign up, you can go through all this, and then if it's not for you, you can cancel, right?
Yep, yeah. Totally. And that's the thing. We've thought about structuring it a bunch of different ways, as far as, like a big bundle where maybe it's $400 or $500, but like, we really want you to be successful with it. Like you said, we want you to sign up and use it. And even if you get to the point where your blog is making, let's say, $500 extra a month, like, that's substantial if you think about where most people are at with their finances. And that's meaningful to me to hear that people can get to that level. And and then obviously, Jeff, you and I know tons of people who have gone way, way beyond that. But it starts there.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely starts there. I love that Kevin Kelly essay, 1,000 True Fans. I mean, everything changes once you start reaching 1,000 people, because it's just so many people that there's a critical mass of people that you can do something with them. Even if you can only get 10%, 100 customers out of those 1,000 people, that's enough. You can do a lot with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And having a blog, following these steps to build an audience, it's been truly life-changing for me, just because everywhere I go, I've got friends in those cities. I can earn a great living working from home. I have readers that, care about my writing. It's just, it's fun. I wish that I'd started all of it sooner.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, let's look through for some questions. Okay, so there's a question about, if you're already a ConvertKit customer, can you get the bonuses? Yes. Just send an email to support@convertkit.com, and our awesome support team there will hook you up with the free copy of Authority and the Product to Profit Masterclass. Though for the Masterclass, you would need to send that email like right now, because that's obviously expiring. Paul and Jason, who I did the masterclass with, don't like it if I give away like hundreds of copies of that. And so that's why you gotta kind of jump on that right away, because I can't like give away the farm all the time. Okay, Pamela says I'm gonna have a race with my cat to get to 1,000 subscribers first. All right, I think that's a joke from earlier in the chat that I missed, but
it's not really a joke. She has a cat with a blog who is doing well. Has as many, or if not more, subscribers than she does. So, little friendly household competition.
Yeah, that is
human versus feline marketing. Like, who's better? Who's a better marketer? It's a good question.
Yeah. Oh, that's dangerous. If you guys have questions, just drop them in the chat. If you haven't already, go, click the blue link below the video to claim your first month of ConvertKit for free. You'll get the bonuses emailed out to you a couple minutes after you sign up. Rebecca's asking a good question. What are the design options for emails sent to your subscribers? Is it text only or images? Are there pre-designed templates? Good question. So we actually now are in an interesting place because we have thousands of customers and send hundreds of millions of emails. We've actually been able to run a lot of tests, and the emails that do the best are not the fancy designed email templates, that have a logo and a sidebar and all this like beautiful design work. The ones that do the best are the ones that are simple, and they look like I just opened up Gmail and said, hey, Jeff, I wrote this new blog post. I think you'll really like it. Here's the details of it. Let me know what you think. And they look like they're written from one human to another human rather than like some big company or marketing organization. And so because of that, ConvertKit starts with really simple email templates that look like, they're basically plain text. It looked like I just opened up Gmail and sent an email. And that does really, really well. So what I'd say is you can do these custom and fancy email templates. We have a few stock ones for you to start with if you want, but try out the simple email templates. I think you'll be really impressed with the engagement there. All right. What's the next question? Okay. Pamela's asking Nathan say the bonus is only if you're live now or it ends at 5 p.m. So people watching the recording can be sad and you can keep the farm. Okay. Yeah. So there's a reason to watch webinars live. Yes, there's a replay. If you're watching the replay, I'm sorry that you missed out on the Product Profit Masterclass, but you still get your first month of ConvertKit for free and a free copy of Authority, which if you implement even a quarter of the stuff in Authority, you will be on a very, very good track very quickly. Let's see. Rebby Girl is asking, can a non-author entrepreneur use ConvertKit? Absolutely. We have lots of fiction authors using it. Basically, if you're not teaching like how-to material, then a lot of what people do is you want to write about the process. Say you're writing a fiction book. You're going to want to write about the process of writing, how it's coming along, sharing some more behind the scenes information. But then also if you have additional short stories about characters or, maps from the fantasy world that you've created or any of that, that's the kind of stuff that you want to share with your fans. And the more you share about the process, the more they'll become fans of you and follow you to your next book, your next trilogy, whatever you write after that. So it totally works, whether you're teaching, nonfiction how-to material or you're more on the entertaining side of things.
Hey man, I need to hop off. I got to run to an interview, but just want to say thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Guys, thanks for being here and for watching Nathan. I highly recommend that you check out ConvertKit. If you're on MailChimp or Aweber or something else, and you're not happy with it, or there's some things that you find confusing about it, as I found lots of those tools, confusing. check out ConvertKit. I mean, it's a free trial. You really don't lose anything. If you're like a lot of people that I've talked to who simply don't have or don't feel like you can afford an email marketing service, try the free trial, do the work, as Nathan said, commit to the process. And, you know, who knows, you know, you might have 1,000 subscribers at the end of a month and actually have something that, you know, you can sell them and you can actually start making money off of this list. So thanks, Nathan. Thanks, everybody. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for having
Yeah.
me. See you guys.